The doors of the luxury villa opened like the start of an execution. 28-year-old Serafina De Luca stood frozen in the hallway, a silver breakfast tray slipping from her trembling fingers as she caught her fiancé in bed with her cousin only hours before their wedding. Champagne bottles glittered across the marble floor. His custom tuxedo lay crumpled beside the bed. Her bridesmaid cousin smirked beneath tangled silk sheets. But the real horror wasn't the betrayal. It was the calmness of the man staring back at her. Lucien Moretti, the feared mafia boss who controlled half the East Coast underground empire, didn't apologize. He simply checked his watch and spoke with chilling authority. "Get dressed. The wedding is still happening. You belong to me. If you want to see how Serafina escapes the man who owns her life, stay until the end of this story. Hit that like button and comment with your city so I can see how far this journey reaches." Bum. The tray hit the marble with a sound like bones breaking. Serafina didn't move. Couldn't move. Her brain kept offering her escape routes. Turn around, pretend she never saw. Walk backward into the hallway. Close the door quietly. But her body had locked itself in place like a deer caught in headlights on a highway with no shoulders. Lucien Moretti didn't flinch. He sat up slowly, the silk sheet sliding down his bare chest, and reached for the glass of bourbon on the nightstand as if this were just another Tuesday morning. The woman beside him, Serafina's cousin Isabel, had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable, but only slightly. She pulled the sheet higher and tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear, with fingers that still wore the friendship bracelet Serafina had made for her 3 summers ago. "You're early," Lucien said. His voice carried that same flat authority he used when dismissing employees or ordering executions. No emotion, no apology, just observation. Serafina's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Her throat had collapsed into itself. The silver tray lay upside down between them, coffee spreading across white marble like a Rorschach test. She thought absurdly that the housekeepers would be upset. Then she thought that she was losing her mind. "I brought you breakfast," she heard herself say. The words sounded insane even as they left her mouth. Lucien checked his Patek Philippe. "The ceremony starts at 4. You should be getting your hair done." That was it. No explanation, no shame. Just a reminder of the schedule. Isabel finally spoke. "Sarah, I'm sorry you had to—" "Shut up!" Lucien's voice cut through the room like a blade. He wasn't even looking at Isabel. His eyes stayed locked on Serafina's face, studying her reaction the way a scientist observes a rat in a maze. "Leave us." Isabel gathered the sheet around herself and hurried past Serafina without making eye contact. The door clicked shut behind her. The sound echoed. Serafina stood there in her silk robe, the expensive one Lucien had given her last month with tags she'd been too afraid to remove, and felt something shift inside her chest. Not her heart breaking. That had happened years ago. So slowly she'd barely noticed. This was different. This was the moment when the pain finally stopped mattering. "Sit down," Lucien said. She didn't sit. He raised an eyebrow. In 3 years, she had never disobeyed a direct command. Not once. She'd learned early that Lucien Moretti didn't tolerate defiance. Women who challenged him ended up disappeared, reassigned, or so thoroughly broken they forgot they'd ever had spines. "Sit. Down." Serafina's legs shook, but she remained standing. "No." The word felt foreign in her mouth. Dangerous. Like swallowing glass. Lucien set his bourbon down carefully. "You're upset, I understand, but you need to think clearly about what's happening here." He stood, completely naked, completely unashamed, and walked toward his closet. "Your family owes me $4 million. Your father gambled away his business, his house, and his dignity. I cleared his debts. I gave your mother medical care when her cancer came back. I put your brother through law school." He pulled on black slacks, not bothering to turn away from her. "You are the payment, Serafina. That was always the arrangement. Your father sold you to me 3 years ago, and you accepted it because you had no other choice." Each word landed like a punch, because it was true. All of it. Her father had been a small-time real estate developer who got addicted to poker and lost everything to the wrong people. When Lucien Moretti had shown up at their foreclosed house offering to handle things, her father had wept with gratitude. He'd signed papers, shaken hands, and Serafina, 25 years old, desperate to save her dying mother and her younger brother, had agreed to become Lucien's fiancé. It was supposed to be temporary, a business arrangement. She told herself she could endure anything for her family. But temporary had turned into 3 years. 3 years of surveillance, 3 years of isolation from friends who slowly stopped calling, 3 years of smiling at his associates while he discussed murders over dinner, 3 years of sleeping in separate bedrooms, grateful he'd never demanded more than appearances. Until now, she'd believed that maybe, just maybe, he actually cared about her in his own twisted way. So what was this? Serafina's voice came out steadier than she expected. Entertainment? A power move? Or do you just not give a shit? Lucien buttoned his shirt with mechanical precision. Isabel means nothing. She's a distraction. You're my wife. We're not married yet. A formality. He crossed to her, close enough that she could smell his cologne mixing with Isabel's perfume, and lifted her chin with 2 fingers. His touch was gentle. That was somehow worse. This wedding happens today whether you like it or not. Every politician, every family head, every business connection I've built expects to see us at that altar. Canceling now would make me look weak, and I don't tolerate weakness. His thumb brushed across her jaw. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to shower, get your hair done, put on that overpriced dress. Walk down that aisle and smile. And if I don't? Lucien's expression didn't change, but his grip tightened just enough to hurt. Then your mother's treatment stops, your brother's tuition disappears, and your father, who's currently enjoying my protection from the people who wanted to cut off his hands, gets delivered back to them in pieces. He released her and stepped back. Your choice, darling. Serafina tasted copper. She'd bitten through her lip without noticing. Get dressed, Lucien said. The car leaves in 20 minutes. Well, I'll try, but... She made it to her bedroom before her knees gave out. The room was obscene. All white silk and gold fixtures and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the private garden. Her wedding dress hung on a mannequin in the corner like a ghost waiting to possess her. $14,000 of Italian lace and hand-sewn crystals. She'd picked it out with Adrian 6 months ago. Adrian. Serafina pulled her phone from her robe pocket with shaking hands. Lucien monitored her calls. She knew that, had known it for years, but right now she didn't care. She scrolled through her contacts until she found the number listed under Wedding Planner. Her finger hovered over the call button. This was insane. Adrian Blackwood was a professional event designer, a billionaire who organized weddings for celebrities and politicians. He'd spent 6 months helping her plan this catastrophe of a ceremony with patience and quiet competence, never once commenting on the obvious nightmare she was living. But he'd also been the only person in 3 years who'd looked at her like she was still human. She hit call. It rang 4 times. She almost hung up. Then his voice came through, warm and slightly confused. Serafina, it's 7 a.m. Is everything... I need you to do something for me. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. Something crazy. Silence. Then, tell me. She closed her eyes. Bring your tuxedo tonight, the same cut as Lucien's, identical. More silence. She could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. Serafina, what are you planning? I'm planning to replace the groom. The words hung in the air between them, absolutely unhinged, completely impossible. Adrian's response came soft and certain. I've been waiting for you to say that. 6 months earlier, Serafina had walked into Blackwood Events expecting a routine meeting about floral arrangements. The office occupied the top floor of a converted warehouse in Chelsea, all exposed brick and natural light. Adrian Blackwood had met her at the elevator himself, unusual for someone of his status, and shaken her hand with a grip that was firm but not crushing. Miss DeLuca, thank you for coming. He was nothing like the men in Lucien's world. Mid-30s, tall, with dark hair that looked like he'd forgotten to comb it, and gray eyes that actually focused when you talked. He wore expensive clothes without making them look like armor. His office was organized chaos, fabric samples scattered across tables, mood boards pinned to every wall, half-drunk coffee cups forming rings on paperwork. Call me Serafina. She'd practiced her smile in the car. Bright but not desperate. Engaged but not manic. Mr. Moretti speaks very highly of your work. Does he? Adrian's tone suggested he knew exactly what Lucien Moretti thought of him, and it wasn't particularly flattering. He gestured to a chair. "Please, sit." She sat. He didn't immediately launch into the standard wedding planner pitch about themes and color palettes. Instead, he just looked at her, not leering, not assessing her body, just looking, like he was trying to figure out a complicated equation. "Can I ask you something personal?" Serafina tensed. "That depends on the question." "Do you actually want this wedding?" No one had asked her that. Not once. Not her mother, not her brother, not the 12 other vendors she'd met with. They'd all assumed, congratulated her, commented on how lucky she was to be marrying into the Moretti family. "That's not relevant," she said carefully. "It's extremely relevant. I don't plan weddings for people who don't want them." Adrian leaned back in his chair. "I'm very good at my job, Serafina. I've organized ceremonies for people who've spent millions. I've coordinated logistics across 3 continents. I've made impossible timelines work." He paused. "But I've also walked away from clients who were clearly miserable. Life's too short to build beautiful cages." The words hit her like a slap. She stood up. "I should go. Wait." He didn't move from his chair, but something in his voice made her stop. "I'm not trying to offend you. I'm trying to offer you an option you might not know exists." "What option?" "Honesty." He pulled a file folder from his desk drawer and slid it across to her. "I do background checks on all my clients, standard practice. But when I looked into Lucien Moretti, I found things that concerned me." Serafina's heart hammered. "What things?" 3 women who were engaged to men in his organization have disappeared in the last decade. 2 more filed restraining orders that mysteriously vanished from court records. Multiple domestic violence reports that never went anywhere. Adrian's expression didn't change, but his voice hardened. "And your father's financial records show he signed over legal guardianship of you as part of his debt settlement, which is illegal, by the way. You can't sell a human being, even to pay gambling debts." She couldn't breathe. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because my sister Emily was engaged to a man connected to organized crime. She tried to leave him 4 years ago." Adrian's jaw tightened. "They found her body in the Hudson River 3 weeks later, officially ruled an accident. Unofficially, everyone knew what happened." "I'm sorry." The words felt pathetic. "I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because I spent the last 4 years building connections with lawyers, investigators, and federal agents who specialize in helping people escape situations like yours." He met her eyes. "If you want to plan a wedding, I'm happy to do that. But if you want to plan an escape, I can help with that too." Serafina stared at the file, at this stranger who'd just offered her something she'd stopped believing existed. A choice. "Why would you risk that? You don't know me." "No, but I know what it looks like when someone's drowning and pretending to swim." Adrian stood slowly. "Think about it. You have my number. If you decide you want help, call me. If you don't, I'll plan you the most beautiful wedding you've ever seen, and we'll never discuss this again." She'd left without answering. Spent 3 days pretending to consider floral arrangements while her brain screamed at her to run. But run where? Lucien had eyes everywhere. Guards, surveillance. Her phone was monitored. Her credit cards tracked. She hadn't been alone in 3 years. On the 4th day, she'd called Adrian from a burner phone purchased at a bodega during the 30 seconds her bodyguard was distracted. "I want help," she'd whispered, "but I don't know how to trust you." "Then let's start small," Adrian had said. "Come back to my office. Bring someone you trust if you want. We'll talk about flowers. Nothing else. Just flowers." That conversation had turned into months of careful, terrifying collaboration. Adrian met her in person only during scheduled wedding planning sessions where Lucien's surveillance expected them to interact. Everything else happened through encrypted messages, dead drops, and brief encounters that looked accidental. He taught her how to hide microphones and jewelry. She photographed financial documents from Lucien's office using a camera disguised as a compact mirror. Together, they built a case: recordings of Lucien ordering violence, evidence of money laundering, connections to political corruption. But the deeper they worked together, the more complicated it became. Adrian was patient in ways she'd forgotten men could be. He never pushed her to move faster than she was ready. Never demanded explanations when panic attacks made her cancel meetings. Never looked at her with pity, only quiet determination. And Serafina found herself remembering the person she used to be before fear became her primary language. She'd been an architecture student once, had dreams of designing public spaces that made people feel safe, had friends and hobbies and opinions she wasn't afraid to voice. Lucian had systematically dismantled all of that, replacing her personality with obedience. Working with Adrian felt like excavating her own grave and finding pieces of herself still alive. The moment she realized she was falling in love with him came on a Tuesday afternoon in March. They'd been reviewing seating charts, actual wedding work, since Lucian's people randomly audited their meetings, when Adrian had absently pushed his glasses up and muttered, "Your uncle's side of the family is terrifying. Half of them are wanted by Interpol." Serafina had laughed. Actually laughed. The sound startled both of them. Adrian had looked up. "What?" "Nothing. I haven't laughed in a really long time." Something shifted in his expression. "You should laugh more. Sounds like freedom." She'd almost kissed him right there. Instead, she'd forced herself to focus on place cards and centerpieces while her heart hammered against her ribs. But Adrian had noticed. He always noticed. After that, the tension between them became impossible to ignore. Hands brushing accidentally during fabric selections. Long silences that said everything words couldn't. Moments where the air felt so charged she thought she might combust. Then came the night Lucian hit her. It happened during a charity gala in May. She'd laughed too loudly at another man's joke. Lucian had smiled for the cameras, then dragged her into a coat closet and backhanded her hard enough to split her lip. "You embarrassed me," he'd said calmly. "Don't do it again." She'd stumbled back to the gala, covered the blood with lipstick, and finished the evening like nothing happened. But when she'd met Adrian 2 days later for a supposed cake tasting, he'd taken one look at the fading bruise on her jaw and gone completely still. He did that. It wasn't a question. Serafina touched her face reflexively. "It's fine. I was careless." "Don't do that. Don't make excuses for him." Adrian's voice shook. "This has to stop. We need to accelerate the timeline." "We're not ready. We don't have enough evidence for the FBI to—" "I don't care." He crossed to her, stopping just close enough that she could feel the heat coming off him. "I can't keep watching you walk into that house knowing what he does to you. I can't keep pretending I'm fine with this arrangement. Adrian, marry me instead." The words dropped into the space between them like a grenade. Serafina stared at him. "What?" "I'm serious. Marry me. Not for romance. Not for love. For protection." His hands curled into fists at his sides. "Once you're legally tied to me, he can't claim ownership anymore. We can move forward with the case without you being trapped in his house. I have resources, security, lawyers. That's insane. So is waiting for him to kill you." She couldn't argue with that. "You'd really do that? Risk everything for someone you barely know?" "I know you." Adrian's jaw tightened. "I know you're brilliant and brave and so much stronger than you think. I know you love vanilla lattes and hate orchids and cry during old movies when you think no one's watching. I know you've survived 3 years of psychological warfare and you're still fighting." His voice dropped. "And I know that if something happens to you because I was too cautious, I'll never forgive myself." Serafina felt tears burning behind her eyes. "What if I want it to be real?" Adrian went very still. "What?" "What if I don't want this to be a protection arrangement? What if I want—" She couldn't finish. Couldn't say the words out loud. He closed the distance between them in 2 steps and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and terrifying and perfect. His hands came up to frame her face and she grabbed his shirt, and for 30 seconds, the whole world disappeared into that moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian pressed his forehead against hers. "Then we survive this first," he whispered. "And then we get forever." Now, 6 months later, standing in her bedroom with her wedding dress mocking her from the corner, Serafina listened to Adrian's voice through the phone and felt that same desperate certainty. "Tell me the plan," Adrian said. She swallowed hard. "The cathedral will be full of his people. Security everywhere. Federal agents we've been working with will be planted in the crowd, but they can't move until we have him on record making threats." "Serafina, I'm going to walk down that aisle. But instead of marrying Lucian, I'm going to marry you." The words came out steady now, clear. "In front of everyone. Every politician he's bribed. every criminal he does business with, every witness we need. That's suicide. He'll kill us both. No. He'll be too humiliated to think straight, and the FBI will have agents positioned to arrest him the second he makes a move. She gripped the phone tighter. This is the only way, Adrian. If I run, he hunts me forever. If I go through with his wedding, I'm trapped. But if I publicly reject him in front of everyone who matters to him, you destroy his reputation and give the feds everything they need. Adrian was quiet for a moment. You've really thought this through. I've been thinking about it since the day we met. She glanced at her wedding dress. I just didn't know if I was brave enough. You're the bravest person I know. Then help me finish this. Serafina closed her eyes. Bring your tuxedo, identical to his. When I stop halfway down the aisle, step forward. The officiant already has our real vows. The federal agents are briefed. Everything's ready. Everything except the part where we survive. We'll survive. She didn't know if she believed it, but she said it anyway. We have to. Adrian exhaled slowly. I'll be there. 3rd row, left side. I know. Serafina? Yeah? I love you. I need you to know that before everything goes to hell. Her throat closed up. I love you too. She hung up before she could lose her nerve. 20 minutes later, she walked downstairs in full makeup and a calm expression, climbed into Lucien's car, and let his driver take her to the salon where 6 women would spend 4 hours making her beautiful for the performance of her life. Lucien texted her once, "Don't be late." She didn't respond. In the salon chair, surrounded by chatter and hairspray and magazines, Serafina caught her reflection in the mirror. Her face looked like a stranger's. Porcelain. Perfect. Empty. But underneath the foundation and the practiced smile, something wild and desperate was clawing its way out. By 4 o'clock she'd be married, just not to the man everyone expected. The hairstylist pinned the last crystal into her updo and stepped back to admire her work. You look like a princess. Serafina met her own eyes in the mirror. Good, she said softly. Princesses make excellent revolutionaries. The limousine smelled like leather and lies. Serafina sat perfectly still in the back seat, her wedding dress consuming most of the space like a white monument to expensive mistakes. The fabric rustled every time she breathed. Outside the tinted windows, Manhattan blurred past in streaks of gray concrete and summer heat. Her mother sat across from her, dabbing at tears with a monogrammed handkerchief. You look so beautiful, sweetheart. Like something out of a dream. More like a nightmare wearing couture. Serafina kept her face neutral. Thanks, Mom. Your father would be so proud. Her father was currently passed out drunk in his hotel room, same as he'd been for the past 3 days. The man who'd sold her to a mobster couldn't even stay sober enough to walk her down the aisle. Her uncle Marcus would be doing that honor instead, another Moretti associate who'd attended more funerals than weddings. I'm sure he would, Serafina said. Her mother reached across and squeezed her hand. The touch felt like a stranger's. They hadn't been close in years. How could they be? Her mother had chosen survival over her daughter, had looked the other way when Lucien isolated Serafina from everyone she loved, had accepted the expensive medical treatments and the luxury condo and the monthly allowance without asking what it cost. Serafina understood it, forgave it even. Cancer was expensive and terrifying, and people did ugly things to survive, but understanding didn't make it hurt less. Lucien is a good man, her mother said quietly. He saved us, saved all of us. Serafina almost laughed. Instead, she squeezed back and said, I know, Mom. The cathedral loomed ahead like a marble fortress. News vans clustered along the street. Photographers shouted at each other behind barricades. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a spectacle. A public declaration of Lucien Moretti's power and reach, which made it the perfect stage for what came next. The car pulled up to the entrance. Through the darkened windows, Serafina could see the crowd gathering. Women in designer dresses, men in custom suits, armed security disguised as ushers. She recognized faces from newspaper headlines, politicians, CEOs, people who shouldn't be attending a mobster's wedding but would never miss an opportunity to curry favor. Her mother kissed her cheek. It's time, sweetheart. Serafina stepped out into camera flashes and manufactured applause. Inside the cathedral, everything was white and gold and grotesque. Flowers cascaded from every surface. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen waterfalls. The pews were packed with 400 people who'd come to watch Lucian Moretti claim his prize. Classical music swelled from a full orchestra positioned in the choir loft. Serafina stood in the vestibule with her Uncle Marcus, breathing carefully through her nose. The dress weighed approximately 40 pounds. Her shoes were already killing her. Sweat gathered beneath the intricate lace despite the air conditioning. Uncle Marcus adjusted his tie. He was a heavy man with calculating eyes and hands that had definitely strangled people. "You ready, kid?" "No, absolutely not." Her heart was trying to escape through her throat. "Yes," she said. He studied her face. "You seem calm." "I've had 3 years to prepare." "That's not what I meant." His voice dropped. "You planning something stupid?" Serafina met his eyes without flinching. "Would you stop me if I was?" Marcus considered this. "Depends on how stupid." "Very." He laughed, a rough, cynical sound. "Lucien's gonna lose his shit." "I know." "Could get you killed." "I know that too." Marcus shook his head slowly. "Your father was an idiot, but you got balls, kid. I'll give you that." He offered his arm. "Let's go piss off the most dangerous man in New York." The doors opened. Bang! 400 faces turned toward her in unison. The orchestra launched into Wagner's bridal chorus. Lucien's choice, not hers. Serafina forced herself to start walking. One step, then another. The aisle stretched ahead like a death march. Lucian waited at the altar in a custom tuxedo that probably cost more than most people's cars. He looked annoyingly handsome. Slicked back dark hair, sharp jawline, eyes like black ice. He smiled at her with the confidence of a man who'd never lost anything in his life. Serafina scanned the crowd as she walked. Third row, left side. There. Adrian sat perfectly still in an identical tuxedo, his gray eyes locked on hers. He looked terrified and determined and completely out of place among the criminals surrounding him. Next to him sat a woman Serafina recognized as FBI agent Chen, disguised as someone's date. 3 rows back, Agent Morrison pretended to check his phone. 2 more agents positioned near the exits. Everything was in place. Now she just had to survive the next 5 minutes. Serafina reached the halfway point and stopped walking. The orchestra faltered. Notes scattered into confused silence. Whispers erupted across the cathedral like wildfire. Uncle Marcus froze beside her. "Kid?" Lucien's smile vanished. "What are you doing?" Serafina turned away from the altar and looked directly at Adrian. The entire cathedral held its breath. Adrian stood slowly. His hands were shaking, but his voice came out steady. "I'm here." Gasps exploded through the crowd. Someone shouted in Italian. Lucian's security detail moved toward the aisle, but federal agents were already blocking them. Agent Chen flashed her badge. Morrison spoke quietly into his wrist communicator. Serafina walked away from Lucien and took Adrian's hand. His fingers closed around hers, solid and real and terrifying. Lucian's voice cut through the chaos like a gunshot. "Everyone sit down. Now!" The crowd obeyed instantly. That was power. That was 3 decades of cultivating fear. Serafina turned to face him. The distance between them felt both enormous and suffocating. "I'm not marrying you, Lucian." His face had gone completely blank. That was more frightening than rage. "You want to repeat that?" "I'm not marrying you. I never was. This whole thing," she gestured at the cathedral, the flowers, the guests, "was always going to end right here." Lucien descended from the altar with measured steps. His security tried to follow, but Agent Chen intercepted them smoothly. "FBI, nobody moves." "You're FBI?" Lucian's attention snapped to Chen, then to Morrison, then to the other agents positioned throughout the cathedral. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his posture. "This is a setup. This is justice." Serafina's voice carried through the silent cathedral. "For the past 6 months, I've been collecting evidence against you. Recordings, financial documents, witness testimony, everything you've done, every crime you've committed, every person you've hurt." She pulled a small recording device from beneath her bouquet and held it up. "Including what you said to me this morning, about how you own me, about how my family is collateral, about what happens to women who try to leave you." Lucien stared at the device, then at her. "You're making a mistake. No, I'm fixing one. Adrian's hand tightened around hers. She could feel his pulse racing through his palm. Lucian's voice dropped to something cold and deadly. You think the FBI can protect you? You think these people— He gestured at the agents. Matter more than I do? I think you're about to be arrested in front of everyone who ever feared you. Serafina took a step forward, still holding Adrian's hand. And I think your empire dies today. Lucian laughed. Actually, laughed. The sound echoed off marble walls. You stupid girl, you have no idea what you've just done. Agent Chen moved closer. Mr. Moretti, we have warrants for your arrest on charges of racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy to commit murder. Save it. Lucian held up one hand. His other hand disappeared into his jacket. Every federal agent in the room drew their weapons simultaneously. Hands where we can see them, Morrison shouted. Lucian pulled out his phone. Just his phone. He held it up mockingly. Relax, I'm calling my lawyer. He smiled at Serafina. You want a war? Fine. But wars have casualties. He hit a number on speed dial and brought the phone to his ear. Serafina's blood turned to ice. What are you doing? Calling in your mother's medical debts. Lucian's smile widened. Turns out I never actually paid for her cancer treatment. I just delayed the billing. Funny how that works. You son of a bitch! Your brother's law school tuition? Also unpaid. He'll be expelled by Monday. Lucian's eyes were empty black holes. Your father's protection? Revoked. I'll have him delivered back to his creditors by tomorrow morning. They've been waiting 3 years to collect. Each word was a blade between her ribs. Adrian stepped forward. Those are innocent people. There are no innocent people. Lucian pocketed his phone. Only people who haven't been caught yet. Your girlfriend just destroyed her entire family to make a point. Hope it was worth it, sweetheart. Serafina couldn't breathe. The cathedral spun around her. She'd planned for this, had known Lucian would retaliate, but hearing it said out loud, hearing him systematically destroy everyone she loved. We can protect your family, Agent Chen said quickly. Witness protection, relocation. Set. You can't protect them from their own debts. Lucian straightened his cufflinks. I didn't break any laws threatening to stop paying someone else's bills. I'm just a generous benefactor withdrawing my charity. You're a monster, Serafina whispered. I'm a businessman. You're the one who chose scorched earth. Lucian looked at Adrian with something like pity. Congratulations on your new wife, Blackwood. She'll get everyone you love killed within a year. Agent Morrison stepped forward with handcuffs. Lucian Moretti, you're under arrest. On what grounds? Everything I just said is perfectly legal. Lucian held out his wrists anyway. But sure, arrest me. My lawyers will have me out in 3 hours. And then, he looked directly at Serafina. Then the real fun begins. The handcuffs clicked shut. Lucian smiled. And Serafina realized with dawning horror that she'd just started a war she had no idea how to win. The cathedral erupted into chaos. Guests fled toward the exits. Photographers pushed through the crowd trying to get pictures. Lucien's associates shouted threats while federal agents established a perimeter. Someone's grandmother fainted. The orchestra abandoned their instruments. Serafina stood frozen in the center of it all, still holding Adrian's hand, watching her entire plan collapse in real time. Agent Chen grabbed her arm. We need to move you. Now. My mother is already being secured. We have teams on your brother and father. Chen pulled her toward a side exit. But Moretti's right. The second he makes bail, you're all targets. Adrian kept pace beside them. What about protective custody? That's the plan. We have a safe house ready, but we need to move fast. They burst through a side door into a parking lot where 3 black SUVs were already waiting. Agents surrounded them immediately, weapons drawn, scanning rooftops and windows. Serafina's brain finally rebooted. Wait, stop. I need to think. There's no time. Make time. She yanked her arm free from Chen's grip. Lucian's not going to wait for lawyers and warrants. He's going to come after my family tonight. We have them covered. You don't know him like I do. Serafina's voice cracked. He'll burn down hospitals. He'll pay off judges. He'll turn my brother's classmates into informants. You can't protect them from someone with unlimited resources and no conscience. Adrian touched her shoulder gently. Then what do we do? Serafina closed her eyes. Her mind raced through options, each one worse than the last. She could recant everything. Tell the FBI she made it all up. Go back to Lucien and beg forgiveness. But that would just reset the clock. She'd still be trapped, still monitored, and eventually he'd punish her anyway. Or she could run, disappear. Let the FBI handle prosecution while she and Adrian fled to some country without extradition treaties. But that meant abandoning her family to Lucien's revenge. Or... Her eyes snapped open. We finished this tonight. Chen frowned. What? Lucien thinks he's won because he threatened my family. But that only works if I care more about their safety than his destruction. Serafina straightened her shoulders. So we give him what he wants. I'm not following a trade. The plan crystallized in her mind even as she spoke it out loud. I turned myself over to Lucien, publicly, in exchange for leaving my family alone. Adrian's grip on her shoulder tightened. Absolutely not. It's the only way. It's suicide. It's bait. Serafina looked at Agent Chen. You said you have recordings of me and Lucien. You have financial evidence. What you don't have is him explicitly confessing to murder on tape. Right? Chen's expression shifted. We have circumstantial evidence, but nothing concrete enough to guarantee a conviction on the RICO charges. So we get him to confess. Serafina pulled off her veil and threw it on the ground. The crystals scattered across asphalt like broken stars. I go to him, wear a wire, make him think he's won, and when his ego gets big enough, he'll brag about everything he's ever done. That's insane, Adrian said flatly. That's the job, Chen countered. She was staring at Serafina with new assessment. You'd really do that? Walk back into his custody knowing what he's capable of? Serafina thought about the bruises, the isolation, the 3 years of slow suffocation, the woman in the Hudson River who'd been Adrian's sister. Yes, she said, but I need guarantees. My mother gets her treatment fully paid, my brother's tuition covered. My father gets actual witness protection, not just promises. We can arrange that, and I need Adrian safe, completely off Lucien's radar. Adrian made a strangled sound. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. Serafina turned to him. His face was pale and furious and terrified. Lucien will use you against me. That's his pattern. He finds what people love and he destroys it. Then we run, both of us, right now. Running doesn't stop him. It just delays everything. She reached up and touched his face. I need you alive, Adrian. I need you to be the person I'm coming back to when this is over. And if you don't come back, then you make sure my testimony destroys him anyway. They stared at each other. The wedding dress felt absurd now, a costume for a play that had gone horribly off script. Adrian pulled her close and kissed her hard, desperate, like he was trying to memorize the shape of her mouth. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead against hers. I hate this plan. Me too. If he touches you, he won't. A lie. They both knew it. The FBI will be monitoring everything. Agent Chen cleared her throat. If we're doing this, we need to move now. Moretti will make bail within 2 hours. We need you wired and positioned before he walks out of that precinct. Serafina stepped back from Adrian. Then let's go. The FBI field office was a maze of gray cubicles and fluorescent anxiety. Agent Chen led Serafina through security and into a conference room where 3 other agents were already setting up equipment. Laptops, recording devices, a small microphone that looked like a button. This goes on your clothing, one tech explained. It's voice-activated and has a 12-hour battery. We'll be monitoring from a surveillance van within a 2-block radius. Serafina nodded. Her hands were shaking, so she clasped them behind her back. Morrison entered with a thick file folder. We've been building a case against Moretti for 4 years. Your testimony accelerated everything, but we still need him to incriminate himself on tape. Think you can get him talking? Lucien loves talking, Serafina said, especially about how smart he is. Good. Target these areas specifically. Morrison laid out crime scene photos, bodies, missing person reports, financial records. We need him to claim responsibility for at least 3 of these murders. Specifically, the two union organizers in 2023 and the federal witness who disappeared in 2024. Serafina's stomach turned. She recognized one of the faces, a woman named Teresa who'd worked at one of Lucien's restaurants. She'd flirted with Serafina once at a charity event, talked about her kids. 3 days later, Teresa was gone. He did all of these. Serafina's voice came out hollow. We believe so, but belief doesn't convict. We need proof. The tech finished attaching the microphone to the inside of Serafina's dress. It was invisible against the white lace. Testing. Can you say something? This is the stupidest thing I've ever done. The microphone picked it up perfectly. Agents in the next room gave a thumbs up through the window. Chen sat down across from Serafina. Let's talk strategy. Moretti's going to be suspicious the second you walk in. Why would you come back to him after publicly humiliating him? Because I'm protecting my family. He won't believe that. He'll think it's another setup. So I give him something he wants more than revenge. Serafina met Chen's eyes. I give him control. Explain. Lucien doesn't want to kill me. He wants to own me. That's always been the game. She took a breath. So I walk in broken, apologetic, begging for forgiveness. I tell him Adrian meant nothing, that I panicked, that I'll do anything to fix this. Morrison frowned. And when he demands proof? I give it to him. Serafina's jaw tightened. Whatever he asks. I agree, because men like Lucien get sloppy when they think they've won. This is dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. Serafina stood up. The dress rustled around her like a shroud. But I've been playing this role for 3 years. I know how to make him believe I'm broken. Because part of her was broken. That was the thing nobody wanted to acknowledge. 3 years of psychological torture didn't just disappear because you made one brave choice. The fear was still there. The trained obedience, the muscle memory of flinching. She'd just learned to weaponize it. Chen studied her face. You're tougher than you look. I'm terrified. Good. That'll make you careful. Chen handed her a phone. This is clean. We'll use it to coordinate extraction once you have what we need. The panic button is programmed to speed dial. Hit it, and we come in hard. Serafina pocketed the phone. How long do I have? Moretti's lawyer just posted bail. He'll be out in 90 minutes. 90 minutes until she walked back into hell. Serafina looked at her reflection in the conference room window. The wedding dress looked different now, less like a costume and more like armor. I need to see Adrian before I go. Chen hesitated. That's not a good idea. I don't care. I need 10 minutes. They stared at each other. Finally, Chen nodded. 10 minutes. Conference room B. Adrian was pacing when Serafina walked in. He stopped mid-stride and just looked at her. Tell me you've changed your mind. I can't do that. Then tell me you have a backup plan. I have a microphone and a prayer. He crossed the room in 3 strides and grabbed her shoulders. This isn't a joke, Serafina. You're walking into a trap. I'm setting a trap. Same thing. His fingers dug into her arms. Not painful, just desperate. He's going to hurt you. Probably. And you're okay with that? She wasn't, but she said, I've survived him for 3 years. I can survive one more night. Adrian's jaw worked. What if I asked you not to go? Then I'd tell you I love you and go anyway. Serafina reached up and pulled his hands off her shoulders so she could hold them. This is the only way to end this. If I run, he hunts me forever. If I hide, he destroys my family. But if I finish this, if I get him on tape admitting everything, then he goes to prison and I get my life back. Or you die trying. Then I die trying. She squeezed his hands. But at least I'll die fighting, not suffocating in his house, pretending to be grateful. Adrian made a sound like something breaking. I can't lose you. You won't. You don't know that. No. But I know that if I don't do this, I'll lose myself. And that's worse than dying. He pulled her close and held her so tight she could barely breathe. She felt his heartbeat against her cheek, fast and terrified and alive. Come back to me, he whispered into her hair. I will. Promise. I promise. A lie. They both knew it, but sometimes lies were the only comfort available. Serafina pulled back and kissed him one more time, slowly, memorizing the taste of him, the feel of his hands in her hair, the way he made a small sound in the back of his throat. When they broke apart, she forced herself to step backward, then backward again, creating distance before she lost her nerve. I have to go. Adrian nodded. His eyes were red. I'll be monitoring the wire. If anything goes wrong, I know. She turned toward the door before he could say anything else, before the weight of his fear could drown her. Chen was waiting in the hallway. Ready? No, absolutely not. Every nerve in her body screamed at her to run. Let's do this, Serafina said. Lucian's penthouse occupied the entire top floor of a building in Tribeca. Floor-to-ceiling windows, imported marble, furniture that cost more than most people's yearly salary. Serafina had lived here for 3 years and hated every pristine inch of it. She stood in the private elevator watching the floor numbers climb. The FBI surveillance van was parked 3 blocks away. Agents monitored the wire. Chen had promised they'd extract her at the first sign of serious danger, but Serafina knew how fast serious danger could escalate. The elevator doors opened directly into the penthouse. Lucien stood at the windows with his back to her, hands in his pockets, staring out at the Manhattan skyline like a king surveying his kingdom. He didn't turn around. "Took you long enough," he said. Serafina stepped off the elevator. Her heart hammered so hard she thought the microphone might pick it up. "I came to talk." "No, you came to beg." Now he turned. His tuxedo was gone, replaced by casual slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He looked relaxed, almost amused. "The question is whether I'm interested in listening." She forced herself to walk closer. "I made a mistake. You made several. I panicked at the cathedral. Everything was happening so fast, and She let her voice crack. "I'm sorry." Lucian studied her face. "You're sorry?" "Yes." "For which part? Publicly humiliating me? Trying to have me arrested? Or fucking that event planner while you were still wearing my ring?" Serafina flinched. "I never slept with Adrian." "But you wanted to." Lucian crossed to his bar and poured himself scotch. "I could see it every time you said his name. That pathetic little spark of hope." He took a sip. "Did you really think I didn't know? I've had people watching you both for months. Every meeting, every secret phone call. I knew about the FBI before you did." The bottom dropped out of Serafina's stomach. "What? You think you're clever, collecting evidence, building a case." Lucian smiled. "Sweetheart, I've been 3 steps ahead of you since the beginning." "No, that couldn't be true. They'd been so careful. The recordings you made," Lucien continued casually, "half of them are inadmissible. The financial documents? Most are decoys I fed you deliberately. And those federal agents you trust so much?" He checked his watch. "Several of them are currently under investigation for corruption." Serafina couldn't breathe. "So here's what's going to happen." Lucian set down his glass. "You're going to call off your FBI friends. You're going to marry me. For real this time. And you're going to spend the rest of your life making up for today's little stunt. And if I refuse? Then your mother dies in pain without medication. Your brother gets framed for drug trafficking. And your father," Lucien smiled, "your father gets delivered back to his creditors alive. Barely." Each word was a nail in a coffin. Serafina's mind raced. The wire was recording all of this. But if Lucien knew about the FBI, if he'd been planning for this, "I want guarantees, she heard herself say. "My family's debts cleared. Adrian left alone." Lucien laughed. "You're not in a position to negotiate." "Then why am I still alive?" "Because killing you would be boring." He crossed to her slowly. "Breaking you is much more interesting." He reached out and traced a finger down her jaw. She fought every instinct to pull away. "Here's your guarantee," Lucien said softly. "You belong to me. Completely. No more lawyers, no more FBI, no more Adrian Blackwood. Just you, in this penthouse, for as long as I decide you're useful." His hand slid to her throat. Not squeezing, just resting there. "Do we have an understanding?" Serafina met his eyes. Behind the fear, behind the trapped animal panic, her brain was working frantically. If Lucien knew about the FBI, the wire was useless. If he'd been planning for this, extraction might not come. She had one option left: make him angry enough to confess everything. "Yes," she whispered. "We have an understanding." Lucien smiled. "Good girl." Then Serafina drove her knee into his groin as hard as she physically could. Lucien doubled over with a choked sound. She grabbed the scotch glass off the bar and smashed it against his head. Blood sprayed across white marble. She ran for the elevator. Lucien grabbed her ankle. She went down hard, the wedding dress tangling around her legs. He dragged her backward across the floor. "You stupid bitch!" Serafina twisted and clawed at his face. Her nails caught his cheek and tore. He roared and backhanded her so hard her vision whited out. When her sight cleared, he was on top of her, one hand around her throat, squeezing. "I was going to be nice," he hissed. Blood dripped from his head wound onto her face. "But you just can't learn, can you?" She couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. The room started going dark. Lucien's face hovered above hers. "You want to know the truth? Your little FBI operation was dead before it started. I own half the agents working your case. The evidence you collected is worthless, and nobody is coming to save you." Black spots filled her vision. "I killed Teresa Alvarez," Lucien continued, his voice almost conversational despite the pressure on her throat. "And those union organizers, and the federal witness, and a dozen others whose names you don't even know." He leaned closer. "And I'm going to kill Adrian Blackwood, slowly, while you watch." Serafina's hand found the panic button in her pocket. She pressed it. Nothing happened. Lucien noticed and laughed. "Oh, sweetheart, I disabled that 20 minutes ago. There's no cavalry coming. There's just you and me and the rest of your miserable life." Her lungs screamed for air. The edges of the world dissolved into static. Then something crashed through the window. Glass exploded inward. Lucien jerked backward. Serafina sucked in a desperate breath. FBI tactical agents poured through the shattered window on rappel lines. "Hands where we can see them! Get on the ground! Move and we shoot!" Lucien stared at the agents in genuine shock. "That's impossible." Agent Chen emerged from the elevator behind them, weapon drawn. "The panic button was a decoy, asshole. We've been listening the whole time." Lucien looked at Serafina, really looked at her. She smiled through bloody teeth. "You underestimated me." "No?" His expression twisted into something ugly. "I'm going to destroy you for this." "You already tried." Serafina struggled to her feet, one hand on her bruised throat. "And I'm still standing." Agent Morrison cuffed Lucien roughly. "Lucien Moretti, you're under arrest for the murders of Teresa Alvarez, Marcus Chen, David Rodriguez, and federal witness Jennifer Kim. You have the right to remain silent." Lucien lunged toward Serafina with inhuman speed. 3 agents tackled him simultaneously. He fought like a rabid animal, screaming obscenities and threats. Chen pulled Serafina away. "We need to get you out of here." Serafina watched them drag Lucien toward the elevator. He was still screaming, still promising revenge. But his voice was getting smaller. She touched the microphone hidden in her dress. "Did you get all of that?" Chen smiled grimly. "Every word." For the first time in 3 years, Serafina felt something like safety. But as they escorted her into the elevator, as Lucien's screams faded behind armored glass, she knew this wasn't over. Men like Lucien Moretti didn't go quietly. And the war she'd started tonight was only beginning. The FBI field office felt like a morgue at 3 in the morning. Serafina sat in a gray conference room wrapped in a shock blanket that did nothing to stop her shaking. Someone had given her coffee that tasted like burnt rubber. Medics had checked her throat, bruised but not crushed, and photographed the damage for evidence. Her wedding dress was bagged as Exhibit A7. She wore borrowed FBI sweats that smelled like disinfectant and other people's fear. Agent Chen sat across from her reviewing audio files. Morrison paced by the window. 3 other agents she didn't recognize clustered around a laptop playing back Lucien's confession on repeat. "We got him," Chen said quietly. "Multiple murder admissions, threats, assault on tape. This is airtight." Serafina nodded numbly. Her brain felt disconnected from her body. Everything that had happened in the penthouse, Lucien's hands on her throat, the window exploding inward, his screams as they dragged him away, played on loop in her skull like a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. Where's Adrian? Her voice came out raspy and wrong. Safe house in Brooklyn. We'll take you there as soon as we finish the initial debriefing. Chen paused. You did good tonight, Serafina. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you were incredibly brave. Brave. The word felt hollow. She'd been terrified, still was. Morrison's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression shifted. We need to talk. Chen looked up. What is it? Moretti's lawyer just filed an emergency motion. They're claiming police misconduct and illegal surveillance. Morrison set his phone down. They're also claiming Serafina was never actually in danger, that the entire penthouse confrontation was consensual. Serafina's stomach dropped. That's insane. He tried to kill me. His lawyer is arguing it was roleplay that got out of hand, that you returned to him voluntarily after the cathedral incident, which proves you weren't being held against your will. Morrison's jaw tightened. They're painting you as an unstable woman who fabricated abuse claims to escape a legitimate relationship. That's not... Serafina couldn't finish. The room spun. Chen stood up. We have recordings, medical evidence, 3 years of documentation, which his legal team is systematically dismantling. Morrison pulled up emails on his laptop. Moretti's people have been busy. They've got affidavits from household staff claiming you were treated like family, credit card records showing he gave you unlimited spending freedom, security footage of you smiling at charity events. Because I was terrified. We know that, but a jury sees what they're shown, and Moretti's lawyers are very good at controlling narratives. Morrison looked at Serafina with something like pity. They're also claiming the evidence you collected was obtained illegally, that you invaded his privacy, stole confidential documents, and violated attorney-client privilege. Serafina's hands curled into fists. So what are you saying? I'm saying this case just got a lot more complicated. Chen's phone rang. She answered it, listened for 30 seconds, and went pale. When? How? She hung up and looked at Morrison. Moretti posted bail. That's impossible. Judge Harrison set it at $50 million, which his lawyers paid in cash 20 minutes ago. Chen's voice was tight. He walked out the front door surrounded by private security. We have no legal grounds to hold him. Serafina stopped breathing. You're telling me he's free? Until trial, which could be 6 months away. He's going to kill me. We'll protect you. Like you protected me in that penthouse? Serafina stood up. The shock blanket fell to the floor. He knew about the FBI. He knew about the wire. He was 3 steps ahead the entire time. We'll put you in witness protection. He'll find me. Her voice was rising. You don't understand what he's capable of. He has judges on his payroll, police, federal agents. He told me that. He bragged about it. Morrison and Chen exchanged looks. What? Serafina's heart hammered. What was that look? We've been investigating potential corruption in the department, Morrison admitted. There's evidence that Moretti has informants feeding him information. Evidence? Jesus Christ! Serafina laughed. It sounded unhinged. You mean you knew there were leaks and you still used me as bait? We took precautions. Your precautions almost got me killed. She grabbed the table edge to keep from falling. Who? Which agents are compromised? Chen hesitated. We don't know yet. Then how do you know I'm safe right now? How do you know Lucien doesn't have someone in this building feeding him my exact location? Silence. Serafina looked between them. You can't guarantee my safety, can you? We'll do everything in our power. That's not an answer. She backed toward the door. I want to see Adrian, right now. That's not advisable. I don't care what's advisable. Her voice cracked. I need to see him, please. Morrison nodded slowly. I'll arrange transport, but you'll have an armed escort and you're not leaving the safe house until we've secured the situation. Secured the situation. Like Lucien was a situation that could be contained rather than a hurricane that destroyed everything in its path. The Brooklyn safe house was a converted warehouse in Red Hook with industrial windows and too many locks. Adrian was waiting inside when Serafina arrived. He crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms so hard her ribs compressed. I heard the audio feed cut out. I thought... He couldn't finish. His hands moved over her back, her shoulders, her face, like he was confirming she was real. I'm okay. Serafina lied. It worked. We got him on tape. And then he posted bail. Adrian's voice was raw. Chen called me 20 minutes ago. Serafina, he's out there. I know. He's going to come after you. I know that too. Adrian pulled back to look at her. His eyes were red-rimmed and desperate. Then we run. Right now. I have money in offshore accounts, passports. We disappear tonight and never look back. It was tempting. So tempting she could taste it. Just walk away from all of this. Let the FBI handle Lucien. Yen, while she and Adrian built new lives somewhere far away. But running meant abandoning her family, and Lucien would never stop hunting her. We can't run, she said quietly. Then what do we do? I don't know. She sank onto the couch. Every muscle hurt. I thought taking him down publicly would work. I thought humiliating him in front of everyone would break his power, but he keeps coming back, like he's invincible. Adrian sat beside her. He's not invincible. He's just rich and well-connected. Same thing in his world. They sat in silence. Federal agents moved through the warehouse, securing windows and checking perimeters. Someone set up surveillance equipment in the corner. The whole place felt like a trap waiting to spring. Serafina's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Then something made her answer. Hello? Hello, sweetheart? Lucien's voice poured through the speaker like poison. Did you really think you could hide from me? Adrian grabbed the phone. How did you get this number? Blackwood. Good. You're both there. That makes this easier. Lucien sounded amused. I'm calling to give you a choice. A genuine one this time. We're not interested. You will be. Lucien's tone shifted. I have something you want. Someone, actually. And you have something I want. My freedom. Serafina's blood turned to ice. What are you talking about? Your mother's a lovely woman. Very gracious. She welcomed me into her hospital room without question when I told her I was delivering flowers from you. No. I also have your brother. Picked him up outside his law school dormitory about an hour ago. He put up quite a fight. Lucien laughed. And your father, well, he's currently unconscious in a storage unit in Queens, still breathing, for now. Adrian's face drained of color. Serafina couldn't speak, couldn't think. The world narrowed to Lucien's voice on the phone. Here's the deal, Lucien continued. You withdraw your testimony. Tell the FBI you lied about everything. Recant your statement, and I return your family alive. You're insane. I'm practical. You destroyed my reputation tonight, humiliated me in front of everyone who matters, made me look weak. His voice went cold. I need that power back, and you're going to give it to me. The FBI is recording this call. No, they're not. I'm using scrambling technology your federal friends haven't seen yet. This conversation is completely private. Lucien paused. You have 24 hours to decide. Recant your testimony or watch your family die piece by piece, starting with your mother. The line went dead. Serafina stared at the phone. Adrian was already moving, shouting for Agent Chen. Federal agents flooded into the room demanding to know what happened. But Serafina couldn't hear them. All she could hear was her mother's heart monitor beeping, her brother's voice laughing at some stupid joke, her father snoring in his chair, all of them in Lucien's hands, all of them dying because of her. The FBI launched into crisis mode. They sent tactical teams to the hospital, her brother's dormitory, every location Lucien might be holding hostages. They traced the call, dead end, analyzed voice patterns, checked surveillance footage. Nothing. Lucien had vanished her entire family like a magic trick. Serafina sat on the couch while organized chaos erupted around her. Adrian paced. Chen barked orders into phones. Morrison coordinated with tactical units. Everyone moved with urgent purpose except her. She felt carved out. Empty. We'll find them, Chen said for the third time. Moretti can't hide 3 people indefinitely. We have informants. Resources. He has more. Serafina's voice sounded far away. He always has more. Adrian knelt in front of her. Look at me. We're not giving up. We're going to find your family and end this. How? He's always ahead of us. Every move we make, he's already planned for it. She met his eyes. He knew I'd go to the FBI. He knew I'd wear a wire. He knew exactly how to corner me. Then we stopped being predictable. What does that even mean? Adrian's jaw set. It means we play by his rules. We give him what he wants. Serafina's stomach dropped. No. Adrian, no, not actually, but we make him think we are. Adrian stood and turned to Chen. Can you arrange a press conference? Chen frowned. For what purpose? Serafina issues a public statement recanting her testimony against Moretti. Says she made everything up out of anger about the wedding, apologizes profusely, destroys her own credibility. That's insane, Morrison said flatly. We lose the entire case. We don't lose anything because it's theater. Adrian's voice hardened. Moretti wants public humiliation, wants everyone to see Serafina broken and submissive. So we give him that. And while he's enjoying his victory, we track him to wherever he's holding her family. Chen was already shaking her head. That's too risky. If Moretti suspects it's fake, he won't because Serafina will sell it. Adrian looked at her. You've been acting for 3 years. One more performance. Serafina's mind raced. It was insane, completely reckless. But Adrian was right about one thing. They needed Lucien to let his guard down. And nothing would do that faster than watching her destroy herself on camera. What about after, she asked quietly. After we find my family and arrest him again. His lawyers will use my recantation to destroy the case. Let them, Chen said slowly. She was staring at Adrian with new assessment. If we catch him holding hostages, that's kidnapping. Federal charges separate from the RICO case. We don't need your testimony for that. Morrison crossed his arms. This is a long shot. It's the only shot we have, Adrian's voice was steel. Moretti thinks he's won. We use that arrogance against him. They all looked at Serafina. She thought about her mother in that hospital bed, her brother studying for exams, her father's drunken apologies that never changed anything but came from genuine guilt. Her family wasn't perfect. Her father had sold her. Her mother had looked away. Her brother had taken Lucien's money without questioning the cost. But they were hers, and she'd burn down the entire world to get them back. Set up the press conference, Serafina said. I'll do it. Goodbye. The press conference was scheduled for noon the next day. Serafina spent the morning preparing with a media consultant the FBI brought in. They crafted a statement designed to sound genuine, apologetic, unstable, emotional. The consultant coached her on body language, how to cry on command, how to look broken without looking rehearsed. Remember, the consultant said, you're not playing a character, you're revealing vulnerability. That's what makes it believable. Serafina nodded. Vulnerability. She had plenty of that. Adrian stayed close the entire time. He barely spoke, but his presence was a constant anchor. When the consultant left to coordinate with the venue, he pulled her aside. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. If it gets to be too much, it won't. She touched his face. I've survived worse than a press conference. Have you? His eyes searched hers. Because you're about to tell the entire world you lied, that everything you said about Moretti was fabricated. Your reputation will be destroyed. I don't care about my reputation. You should. After this, people will think you're unstable, vindictive, a liar. Adrian's voice cracked. And you're none of those things. Maybe I am. Serafina dropped her hand. Maybe I've been lying this whole time, to you, to myself. Maybe the truth is that I'm not strong enough to fight him. Don't do that. Do what? Start believing your own performance before you even give it. Adrian gripped her shoulders. You are strong enough. You've proven that 100 times. This press conference doesn't change who you are, doesn't it? She felt something cold settle in her chest. I'm about to betray every woman who trusted me with their stories about Lucien. I'm about to make every victim who was too scared to come forward feel vindicated for staying silent. I'm about to prove that men like Lucien always win. No, you're about to save your family. Adrian's voice was fierce. That's not betrayal, that's survival. She wanted to believe him, but the words felt like ash in her mouth. The press conference took place in a hotel ballroom packed with reporters. Camera lights blazed. Microphones clustered on the podium like predators waiting to feed. Serafina walked to the front of the room wearing a simple black dress and no makeup. She deliberately skipped sleep so the exhaustion would read as authentic. Agent Chen stood off to the side. Adrian was hidden in the crowd. FBI technical teams monitored every camera angle, hoping to spot Lucian or his people watching. Serafina gripped the podium and looked directly into the cameras. "Thank you for coming. I have a statement to make regarding my allegations against Lucian Moretti." Her voice was steady. That was the first lie. Over the past 6 months, I made serious accusations against Mr. Moretti. I claimed he abused me, threatened me, committed crimes. I provided evidence to federal investigators and participated in their case against him. She paused. Let the silence build. None of it was true. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Reporters started shouting questions. Chen raised a hand for quiet. Serafina continued. I fabricated evidence because I was angry, because I wanted to escape a relationship that I had willingly entered, because I was immature and vindictive and unable to handle the responsibilities that came with being engaged to someone like Lucian. The words felt like swallowing glass. The recordings I provided were edited. The documents were taken out of context. The testimony I gave was exaggerated and misleading. She forced tears into her voice. I let my emotions control me, and in the process I destroyed an innocent man's reputation. A reporter shouted, "What about the physical evidence? The bruises?" "Self-inflicted," Serafina said flatly. "Or the result of accidents I blamed on Lucian to support my narrative." Another reporter, "Why should we believe you now? You were very convincing before." "Because I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm simply telling the truth that I should have told from the beginning." Serafina met the camera directly. Lucian Moretti is not a monster. He's a businessman who tried to love me, and I repaid him with lies and betrayal. Her stomach twisted. Every word was a knife she was driving into her own credibility. "I'm formally withdrawing all testimony against Mr. Moretti. I'm publicly apologizing for the damage I've caused to his reputation and his business. And I'm asking for forgiveness from everyone I've deceived." She stepped back from the podium. Reporters exploded with questions. Chen moved forward to end the conference. Adrian pushed through the crowd toward her, and somewhere, she could feel it, Lucian was watching and smiling. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Social media erupted. Half the internet called her a liar. The other half called her a victim of Stockholm Syndrome. Think pieces appeared within hours analyzing her body language. Legal experts debated whether her recantation would destroy the federal case. The FBI moved her back to the safe house immediately. Adrian paced the warehouse like a caged animal while Chen coordinated tracking efforts. "Anything?" "Nothing yet. But Moretti will make contact. He got what he wanted. Now he'll reach out to gloat." Serafina sat on the couch staring at nothing. The press conference played on repeat in her head. Her own voice saying Lucian was innocent, calling herself a liar, destroying 3 years of evidence with 15 minutes of theater. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. She answered before anyone could stop her. "What?" "That was beautiful," Lucian said. "Truly. You should have been an actress." "I did what you asked. Now give me my family." "Not quite yet. There's one more thing I need." Serafina's blood turned to ice. "You said if I recanted..." "I said I'd return them alive. I didn't say when." Lucian's voice was poisonously sweet. "First you need to come see me, alone. No FBI, no Blackwood, just you." "That wasn't the deal. The deal changed, because I've been thinking about everything you've put me through. The humiliation, the arrest, the legal fees." He paused. "And I've decided that watching you grovel on camera isn't enough. I need to look you in the eyes while you beg for your family's lives." "Where?" "The Moretti estate in the Hamptons. You remember it. We spent last summer there." His voice hardened. "Come alone. Midnight tonight. If I see any federal agents, any surveillance, anything that suggests you're not following instructions, I start mailing body parts." "How do I know they're even still alive?" A pause. Then her mother's voice came through the phone, weak and terrified. "Sarah? Baby, I'm so sorry." The phone cut off. Serafina's hand shook so hard she almost dropped it. Adrian grabbed her arm. "What did he say?" "He wants me to come to his estate, alone, tonight." Absolutely not. My mother is alive. I heard her voice. Chen was already pulling up maps on her laptop. The Hamptons estate is a fortress, 15 acres, private security. We can't raid it without a warrant and probable cause. So, get a warrant. Based on what? A phone call that can't be traced? Moretti's lawyers will have it thrown out before we cross the property line. Chen looked at Serafina. If you go in there alone, you might not come out. If I don't go, my family definitely doesn't come out. Adrian's face was pale. There has to be another way. There isn't. Serafina stood. Her decision was already made. I'm going. Then I'm coming with you. He'll kill them if you do. He'll kill you. Maybe. Probably. She cupped his face with both hands. But at least I'll know I tried. Adrian made a sound like breaking. I can't lose you. You won't. Because I'm going to walk in there and do whatever it takes to get my family out. She kissed him softly. And then I'm going to burn his entire empire to the ground. She pulled away before he could respond. Chen blocked the door. We can't let you do this. You can't stop me. Serafina's voice was cold. Either you help me by providing backup outside the property line, or I go in completely blind. Your choice. Chen and Morrison exchanged looks. Finally, Chen stepped aside. We'll position teams on the perimeter, but if you're not out in 2 hours, we're coming in with or without probable cause. Fine. Adrian grabbed her hand. Serafina, I know. She squeezed back. I know. She couldn't say the words out loud. Couldn't say goodbye, because that would make it real. Instead, she walked out of the safe house into the summer night and climbed into an FBI car that would take her straight into hell. The Moretti estate looked like something out of a Gothic novel. White columns, manicured gardens, ocean views. Serafina had stayed here last summer during a charity event. She remembered thinking it was beautiful, peaceful. Now it looked like a mausoleum. FBI agents dropped her at the front gate and retreated to positions 2 miles away. Serafina walked up the long driveway alone. Motion sensors tracked her movements. Security cameras watched from every angle. The front door opened before she reached it. Lucien stood in the doorway, backlit by chandelier light. He'd changed into a casual button-down and slacks. He looked relaxed, comfortable, victorious. Right on time, he said. I appreciate punctuality. Serafina climbed the steps. Where are they? Inside, safe, for now. He stepped aside. Come in. She walked past him into the marble foyer. The house was silent. No servants, no guards visible. Just Lucien closing the door behind her with a soft click. Drink? He gestured toward the sitting room. I'm not here for drinks. I'm here for my family. All in good time. Lucien poured himself scotch. First, we're going to talk. Really talk. Without FBI wires or hidden microphones or federal agents listening through windows. He raised his glass. To honesty. Finally. Serafina didn't move. Lucien sighed. Suit yourself. He sat in a leather chair like a king on a throne. You want to know something funny? I actually admired what you did at the cathedral. The audacity, the planning, walking away from me in front of everyone. That took genuine courage. Where are they? I'm getting to that. He swirled his scotch. See, I've been thinking about what comes next, about whether I want to keep fighting you or just end this entirely. What does that mean? It means I'm giving you another choice, a real one this time. Lucien set down his glass and stood. Marry me. Actually marry me. Legally. Permanently. Become my wife in every sense of the word. Serafina's stomach dropped. You're insane. I'm practical. You're smart, resourceful. You've proven you can think strategically. Those are valuable qualities in a wife. He crossed toward her slowly. Plus, you've already destroyed your credibility, recanted your testimony. The FBI case is dead, which means starting over with me is your only real option. I'd rather die. That can be arranged too. Lucien stopped inches away. But before you choose death, consider this. If you marry me, I release your family. All debts cleared, protection guaranteed. They live comfortable lives and you never have to worry about them again. And if I refuse, then I kill them tonight, starting with your mother, then your brother, then your father. And I make you watch every single second. His voice was conversational, like he was discussing dinner plans. Serafina's mind raced. The FBI was 2 miles away. No way to call for help without Lucien noticing. No weapons. No escape route she could see. Just her and the monster she'd spent 3 years trying to escape. Why? The word came out broken. Why do you want this? You could have any woman. I don't want any woman. I want you. Lucien reached out and traced her jaw with one finger. You're the only person who's ever challenged me, ever fought back, ever made me feel anything other than bored. His hand slid to her throat, not squeezing, just resting there. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to say yes. We're going to get married tonight. I have an officiant waiting upstairs. And then we're going to start our life together while your family lives happily somewhere far away from all this. And if I still say no? Lucien's expression didn't change, but his grip tightened slightly. Then I take you upstairs anyway, break you completely, and when there's nothing left of the woman you used to be, I'll marry what's left. Serafina looked into his eyes and saw nothing human looking back, just hunger, control, the absolute certainty that he would win. She thought about Adrian waiting at the safe house, about Agent Chen's promise to raid the property if she didn't return, about 3 years of suffocating in this man's shadow, and she made a decision that would either save everyone or destroy them all. Okay, she whispered. I'll marry you. Lucien smiled. Good girl. He released her throat and took her hand. Let's go meet your family, Chato, he said. I think they'll be relieved to hear you've finally made the right choice. He led her toward the stairs and Serafina followed, her mind working frantically, knowing that the moment she walked into whatever room held her mother and brother, her last chance at escape would disappear entirely. The stairs creaked beneath their feet. Lucien's hand was iron around hers, and somewhere in the darkness ahead, her family was waiting for her to save them from a nightmare she'd created. The second-floor hallway stretched ahead like a throat swallowing them whole. Serafina's pulse hammered in her ears. Lucien's grip on her hand was possessive, almost casual, like he was leading her to dinner instead of whatever fresh hell waited behind one of these doors. Her wedding dress from earlier was gone, replaced by the black dress from the press conference. It felt like funeral clothes now. They're in the East Wing, Lucien said conversationally. I've kept them comfortable, fed, minimal restraints. I'm not a monster, Serafina. You're exactly a monster. He laughed. Perhaps. But I'm a monster who keeps his promises. You agreed to marry me. I'm returning your family alive. Everyone wins. Except she'd lose everything. Her freedom, her identity. Whatever fragments of herself she'd managed to salvage over the past 6 months. They passed bedroom doors, bathroom doors, a library. The house was enormous and empty, and every shadow felt like it was watching them. Lucien stopped in front of a heavy oak door at the end of the hall. He pulled a key from his pocket. Before we go in, I need to make something clear. What? Your family doesn't know about our arrangement yet. As far as they're concerned, they're hostages waiting for rescue. You're going to explain to them that you've chosen to stay with me voluntarily, that you've realized this is what's best for everyone. Serafina's stomach twisted. You want me to lie to them? I want you to help them understand reality. Lucien unlocked the door. If they resist or try to convince you otherwise, things will become unpleasant. Do we have an understanding? She nodded because she didn't trust her voice. Lucien pushed the door open. The room beyond was a converted bedroom suite. Expensive furniture pushed against the walls. Her mother sat on a velvet couch, wrists zip-tied in front of her. Her brother Michael was slumped in an armchair, unconscious, with dried blood crusted across his temple. Her father lay on the floor near the window, hands bound, barely breathing. Serafina's mother looked up. Her face was pale and drawn, but her eyes sharpened when she saw her daughter. Sarah, her voice cracked. Thank God. Serafina pulled free of Lucien's grip and rushed to her mother. She knelt beside the couch, hands shaking as she touched her mother's face. Are you hurt? I'm fine. They didn't... Her mother's eyes flicked to Lucien standing in the doorway. Is he letting us go? Yes, but there's a condition. Her mother's expression shifted. What condition? Serafina couldn't look at her. I'm staying with Lucien. We're getting married tonight, and you're going home. Silence crashed through the room. Then her mother grabbed Serafina's hands with her bound wrists. No, absolutely not. Sarah, you can't. It's already decided, then undecided. Her mother's voice rose. I won't let you sacrifice yourself for us. Not again. You don't have a choice. Neither do you. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. Your father and I made terrible mistakes. We let him control you. We took his money and looked away, and I will never forgive myself for that. But I won't let you throw away your life to fix our failures. Mom? No. Her mother looked at Lucien with pure hatred. You want someone? Take me. I'm dying anyway. The cancer will kill me within a year. Let Sarah go and you can do whatever you want with me. Lucien smiled. How noble. But I'm not interested in dying women. I'm interested in the one who tried to destroy me. He crossed to where Michael was slumped unconscious, pulled out a knife, pressed the blade against Michael's throat. Make your choice, Serafina. Marry me right now, or I open his carotid artery and let you watch your brother bleed out on this very expensive carpet. Serafina's mother screamed. Don't you touch him! Then tell your daughter to cooperate. Lucien's voice was ice, clocks ticking. Serafina stood slowly. Her legs felt disconnected from her body. Okay, I'll do it. Just put down the knife. Lucien lowered the blade. Smart girl. He gestured toward the door. The officiant is waiting in the library. We'll have a quick ceremony, and then your family can leave. Simple. I want to say goodbye first. You'll have plenty of time for goodbyes later, shit. Now, or I don't cooperate. Serafina's voice was steel. 5 minutes. Lucien studied her face. 5 minutes. Then we're done negotiating. He stepped into the hallway and closed the door. She heard the lock click. The second he was gone, Serafina moved. She grabbed a decorative letter opener from the desk and began sawing through her mother's zip ties. We don't have much time. Sarah, what are you doing? Getting you out. The plastic finally snapped. Her mother's hands came free. Can you walk? Yes, but... Serafina was already moving to her father. She rolled him over. He groaned but didn't wake. His pulse was weak but steady. She cut through his restraints and moved to Michael. Her brother's eyes fluttered open as she worked on his zip ties. Sarah? Shh, stay quiet. The plastic broke. Can you stand? I think so. He struggled upright, wincing. What's happening? We're leaving. All of us. Right now. Her mother grabbed Serafina's arm. He'll kill you if you try to run. He'll kill me anyway. Eventually. This is the only chance we have. Serafina pulled Michael to his feet. He swayed but stayed upright. There's a service staircase at the other end of the hall. It leads to the kitchen. From there, we can reach the gardens and get to the beach. The FBI is 2 miles away. We need to get off this property before Lucien realizes we're gone. Serafina helped her father sit up. He mumbled something incoherent. Dad, can you hear me? We need to move. Her father's eyes focused slowly. Sarah? Yeah, it's me. Come on. She got him upright with Michael's help. Her mother moved toward the door. Wait. Serafina grabbed the letter opener and approached the window. 2nd floor. Maybe a 15-foot drop to the garden below. Survivable if they were desperate. She unlocked the window and pushed it open. Night air rushed in, carrying the smell of salt and roses. If we get separated, head for the beach. There's a public access path about half a mile east. Run until you find people or police or anyone who can help. Her mother's face was pale. What about you? I'll be right behind you. A lie. They both knew it, but her mother nodded anyway. Serafina moved to the door and pressed her ear against it. Footsteps outside. Lucien pacing. She counted his rhythm. 3 steps. Pause. 3 steps. Pause. She waited until his footsteps moved away. Then she unlocked the door as quietly as possible and eased it open a crack. The hallway was empty. Now, she whispered. Her mother went first, supporting Michael. Her father stumbled after them. Serafina brought up the rear, the letter opener clutched in her fist like a weapon. They moved down the hallway toward the service stairs. Every footstep sounded impossibly loud against hardwood floors. Serafina's heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. 20 feet to the staircase. 15. 10. A door opened behind them. Going somewhere? Lucien's voice was poisonously calm. Serafina spun around. He stood at the other end of the hallway, phone in hand, completely unsurprised. You really thought I'd leave you alone without cameras? He held up his phone showing security footage of the bedroom. I watched you cut them loose. Watched you plan your little escape. It was almost endearing. Run, Serafina told her family. Now! Her mother grabbed Michael and they bolted for the stairs. Her father stumbled after them. Serafina charged toward Lucien. She had maybe 3 seconds before he called guards. Before this whole thing collapsed. Before they all died. She closed the distance and drove the letter opener toward his throat. Lucien caught her wrist effortlessly, twisted. She gasped as pain shot up her arm. The letter opener clattered to the floor. Stupid, he hissed. He slammed her against the wall hard enough to knock the air from her lungs. You stupid, stubborn girl. He pressed his forearm across her throat. I was going to be merciful. Was going to let them leave peacefully. But now... Serafina brought her knee up hard, connected with his groin. Lucien doubled over with a choked sound. She ran. Behind her, Lucien roared. Lock down the house! Nobody leaves! Alarms shrieked. Red emergency lights flooded the hallways. Serafina hit the service stairs and took them 2 at a time. Her family was already ahead, crashing through the kitchen door. She burst through after them into industrial stainless steel and granite counters. Her mother was at the back door, yanking it open. It's locked! Break it! Serafina grabbed a cast iron pan and smashed it against the glass. Once, twice, the window shattered. Footsteps thundered above them. Michael cleared the remaining glass and helped their mother through. Their father followed. Serafina started climbing through just as the kitchen door exploded inward. 3 security guards in black tactical gear, all armed. Freeze! Serafina threw herself through the window, hit the ground hard. Glass sliced through her palms. She scrambled upright. Run! She screamed at her family. They ran. The gardens were dark and maze-like, hedges taller than her head, stone paths that twisted back on themselves. Behind them, more guards poured from the house. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Serafina's mother was falling behind, her breathing labored. Michael supported her on one side, their father on the other. Keep going, Serafina urged. The beach is straight ahead. Gunfire cracked behind them. Serafina's father jerked and went down. Blood bloomed across his shoulder. Dad! Michael skidded to a stop. Leave me, their father gasped. Go! Not a chance. Michael grabbed his arm and hauled him upright. More gunfire. Bullets tore through hedges, shredded leaves. One shot passed so close to Serafina's head, she felt the air displacement. They broke through the gardens onto open lawn. The ocean was visible ahead, dark and vast. The beach access path was maybe 200 yards away. They'd never make it. Flashlight beams converged on them. Shouts in Italian. More guards closing in from both sides. Serafina's mother stumbled, went down hard. I can't. Mom, get up. Serafina pulled her to her feet. Please. Her mother's face was gray. Go without me. No. Sarah, I'm slowing you down. Take your brother and run. A gunshot. The bullet hit the ground 3 inches from her mother's foot. Everyone froze. Lucien walked across the lawn like a man out for an evening stroll. Guards flanked him on both sides. He wasn't running, wasn't even breathing hard. He stopped 10 feet away. That's far enough, he said calmly. Serafina positioned herself in front of her family. Let them go. I don't think so. You broke our agreement, tried to escape, stabbed me. Well, tried to stab me. Lucien touched his throat. Now there are consequences. He gestured to his guards. Kill the father first. He's useless anyway. No! Serafina threw herself forward. Please, please don't. I'll do anything. Anything? Lucien raised an eyebrow. That's a dangerous offer. I mean it. Whatever you want. Just let them go. All of them. Lucien considered this. Kneel. What? Kneel. Beg properly. Show me you understand your place. Serafina's pride screamed at her. Every instinct revolted. She dropped to her knees in the damp grass. Please, she whispered. I'm begging you. Let my family live. I'll stay. I'll marry you. I'll never fight again. Just please don't kill them. Tears streamed down her face. Half performance, half genuine terror. Lucien smiled. That is better. But I don't think you've learned your lesson yet. He pulled a gun from his jacket, aimed it at Michael. No! Serafina's scream tore her throat. The gunshot echoed across the lawn. But it didn't come from Lucien's gun. It came from the darkness beyond the property line. Lucien's guard to his left jerked backward. Blood sprayed. He collapsed. More gunshots. Rapid. Professional. The other guards scattered, returning fire. FBI tactical units swarmed from the perimeter. Agent Chen's voice boomed through a megaphone. "Drop your weapons! FBI, drop your weapons now!" Chaos erupted. Guards dove for cover. Serafina grabbed her mother and pulled her down. Michael threw himself over their father. Bullets screamed overhead. Lucian spun toward the incoming agents, gun raised. Serafina saw her chance. She launched herself at him, hit him low and hard. They went down together in a tangle of limbs. The gun flew from his hand. Lucian's elbow caught her in the face. Her vision whited out. She tasted blood. He rolled on top of her, hands closing around her throat. "You ruined everything." She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her hands scrabbled for purchase. Found nothing but grass. Then Adrian was there. He appeared from nowhere and tackled Lucian off her. They crashed into the ground rolling. Punches landed. Bones cracked. Adrian wasn't trained for this kind of fight, but he fought anyway with desperate fury. Serafina gasped for air. Her vision cleared slowly. Lucien got on top of Adrian and rained down blows. Adrian's face was already bleeding. Another hit, and his nose broke with a sickening crunch. Serafina searched frantically for the gun, found it 3 feet away, grabbed it. "Lucien!" He looked up. She aimed the gun at his head with shaking hands. "Get off him!" Lucian smiled through bloody teeth. "You won't shoot me. Try me." "You're not a killer, Serafina. You're too soft, too moral. You'll hesitate and I'll—" She pulled the trigger. The bullet hit him in the shoulder. He screamed and fell backward. FBI agents swarmed them immediately. Guns pointed. Orders shouted. Someone pulled the weapon from Serafina's hands. Someone else dragged Lucien away while medics rushed forward. Adrian struggled upright. His face was a mess of blood and swelling. "Sarah?" She crawled to him. "I'm here. I'm here." He pulled her close. They held each other while federal agents secured the scene and paramedics worked on her father's gunshot wound, and her mother sobbed with relief. "Is it over?" Serafina whispered. Adrian looked over her shoulder to where agents were cuffing Lucian. The mafia boss was screaming threats and promises of revenge, even as they loaded him onto a stretcher. "It's over," Adrian said. But Serafina could still feel Lucian's eyes on her, could still hear his voice promising that men like him never really lost. Agent Chen appeared. "We need to get you all to the hospital. Your father needs surgery. Your brother has a concussion. And you—" She looked at Serafina. "You're going into protective custody tonight. Moretti has associates who might retaliate." "For how long?" "Until trial. Could be months." Serafina nodded numbly. Months of hiding, months of waiting, months of looking over her shoulder. But alive. They were all alive. Paramedics loaded her father onto a stretcher. Her mother climbed into the ambulance with him. Michael followed, holding a compress to his head wound. Adrian helped Serafina stand. "Can you walk?" "I think so." They started toward the waiting ambulances. FBI agents surrounded them, weapons drawn, scanning for threats. Then Serafina heard it, a sound from behind them, quiet, almost drowned out by all the chaos. She turned. Lucien had broken free from the paramedics. He stood 20 feet away, swaying, blood soaking through his shoulder. One of the guards' guns was in his hand. He raised it toward Serafina. Time fractured. Adrian saw it too. He shoved Serafina sideways. The gunshot was impossibly loud. Adrian jerked backward. A red stain bloomed across his chest. He collapsed. Serafina screamed. FBI agents opened fire. Lucien's body jerked as bullets tore through him. He fell. But Serafina wasn't watching. She was crawling to Adrian, pressing her hands against the wound in his chest. Blood poured between her fingers. Too much blood. "No, no, 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 no." Her voice broke. Adrian, look at me. Stay with me." His eyes fluttered. "Sarah, don't talk. Save your strength. Help is coming. You're going to be fine." "Love you," he whispered. "Don't you dare. Don't you dare say goodbye." Tears blurred her vision. "You promised we'd have forever. You promised." Adrian's hand found hers, squeezed weakly. Forever. His eyes closed. Paramedics swarmed them. Someone pulled Serafina away. She fought, but they held her back while they worked on Adrian. Chest compressions, defibrillator, shouted medical terms she didn't understand. Agent Chen's arms were around her. Let them work. Let them save him. Serafina watched them load Adrian into an ambulance, watched the doors close, watched it disappear into the night with sirens wailing. She turned to where Lucien's body lay covered with a sheet, and she realized that even in death, he'd taken something from her. The question was whether Adrian would survive to get it back. The hospital waiting room smelled like industrial cleaner and desperation. Serafina sat in a plastic chair with her hands still covered in Adrian's blood. Someone had tried to give her wet wipes. She'd ignored them. The blood was the only proof he'd been real, that the past 6 months hadn't been some elaborate nightmare she'd invented to cope with 3 years of suffocation. Her mother sat beside her, one hand wrapped in bandages from where she'd fallen in the gardens. Michael slumped against the wall with ice pressed to his swollen face. Her father was in surgery 2 floors up, having a bullet removed from his shoulder. Agent Chen stood by the window talking quietly into her phone. Morrison had left an hour ago to coordinate the crime scene cleanup. Federal agents positioned throughout the hospital kept watch for any remaining Moretti associates who might want revenge. But Lucien was dead. Serafina had watched them cover his body, had watched them load it into a medical examiner's van, had felt absolutely nothing. The doors to the surgical wing opened. A doctor emerged still wearing his scrubs. Blood stained the front. Serafina stood so fast her vision grayed out. The doctor's face was professionally neutral. Family of Adrian Blackwood? That's us. Serafina's voice cracked. Is he? He's alive. Critical but stable. The bullet missed his heart by 2 centimeters, collapsed his lung. We had to remove bone fragments and repair arterial damage. The doctor paused. The next 48 hours are crucial. If he makes it through without complications, his prognosis is good. Serafina's knees buckled. Her mother caught her. Can I see him? She whispered. He's in recovery. Still sedated. But yes, 1 visitor at a time. Chen stepped forward. I'll need to station agents outside his room. Already arranged. The doctor looked at Serafina. Follow me. They walked through hallways that all looked identical. White walls, fluorescent lights, the squeak of rubber-soled shoes on linoleum. Serafina's body moved on autopilot while her brain tried to process that Adrian was alive. 2 centimeters. That's how close she'd come to losing him. 2 centimeters between forever and nothing. The doctor stopped outside ICU room 7. He'll probably sleep for several more hours. Don't be alarmed by all the equipment. It looks worse than it is. Serafina pushed through the door. Adrian lay in the hospital bed surrounded by machines. Tubes ran from his chest. Monitors beeped rhythmically. An oxygen mask covered his face. His skin was gray beneath the bruises Lucien had left. But his chest rose and fell. Rose and fell. Steady and alive. Serafina crossed to the bed on legs that barely held her. She took his hand carefully, avoiding the IV lines. Hey, she whispered. You scared the hell out of me. No response, just the beep of monitors and the hiss of oxygen. You weren't supposed to be there tonight. You were supposed to stay at the safe house where it was protected. Her throat closed up. But you came anyway. You stupid, brave, beautiful idiot. She pressed his hand to her cheek. You have to wake up. We have forever to get through, remember? You promised me forever, and I'm holding you to that. The machines beeped. Adrian slept, and Serafina sat beside him while the night slowly bled into dawn. Her father came through surgery successfully. The bullet had been removed. No permanent damage. He'd spend a few days in the hospital and then heal at home. Michael's concussion was mild. He'd have headaches for a week, but nothing serious. Her mother's cancer treatment had been fully paid for by the FBI as part of their witness protection agreement. She'd finish her final round of chemo in 3 months, and the prognosis was optimistic. They were all alive, all safe. Serafina should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt hollowed out, like someone had reached inside her chest and removed everything that made her human, leaving only the mechanical parts necessary to keep breathing. She stayed in Adrian's room while her family recovered in theirs. Agent Chen brought her food she didn't eat, fresh clothes she didn't change into, updates about the case she barely processed. Lucien Moretti was dead. His empire was being dismantled. Associates were fleeing or turning state's evidence. Bank accounts frozen. Properties seized. The FBI had enough evidence to prosecute dozens of people connected to his organization. Serafina had won. It felt nothing like victory. On the second day, Adrian's eyes opened. Serafina was half asleep in the chair beside his bed when she heard him make a sound. Her head snapped up. He blinked slowly, eyes unfocused. Tried to speak, but the oxygen mask muffled everything. "Don't talk." She was on her feet immediately. "Let me get the doctor." His hand shot out and grabbed her wrist, weak but insistent. She stopped. "Adrian?" He pulled the oxygen mask down with his free hand. His voice came out barely above a whisper. "You're alive." "Yeah, I'm alive." Tears burned her eyes. "You saved me. Again. Had to." He tried to smile, winced, promised forever. "You're an idiot. You're idiot." She laughed and cried simultaneously, pressed her forehead against his hand. "Don't ever do that again." "Can't promise that." "Try." He squeezed her wrist. "He's dead?" "Yes." "Good." Adrian's eyes started to close again. "Love you. I love you too, so much." He was asleep again before she finished speaking, but his hand stayed wrapped around her wrist like an anchor. Staples. Adrian was moved out of ICU after 72 hours. His lung had reinflated successfully. No infections. The doctors called it a miracle. Serafina called it stubbornness. Adrian called it expensive medical care and made jokes that hurt to laugh at. Her family was discharged on day 4. The FBI relocated them to a safe house in Pennsylvania while they waited for permanent witness protection placements. Serafina said goodbye in a hospital parking lot surrounded by federal agents. Her mother held her so tight it hurt. "I'm proud of you. I know I don't say that enough, but I'm so proud of who you've become. I'm not sure who that is yet. Someone strong, someone who survived." Her mother pulled back. "Someone who fought for the people she loves even when it cost everything." Michael hugged her next. "Thank you. For coming for us, for not giving up. You're my brother. I'll always come for you." Her father was last. He looked older than he had a week ago, broken in ways that had nothing to do with the bullet wound. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "for all of it, for what I did to you. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right." "I know." She did know. Forgiveness would take longer, but understanding was a start. She watched them drive away in an unmarked FBI van and felt something shift in her chest, like a door closing, or maybe opening. She couldn't tell yet. Agent Chen appeared beside her. "How are you holding up?" "Ask me in 6 months." "Fair enough." Chen handed her a file folder. "This is everything we have on Moretti's organization. Financial records, associate names, properties. It's all being processed for prosecution, but I thought you might want to see the extent of what you helped dismantle." Serafina opened the folder. Pages and pages of crimes. Murders, disappearances, money laundering, human trafficking, 3 decades of destruction. And at the center of it all, her testimony, her evidence, her willingness to walk back into hell because it was the only way to end it. "We couldn't have done this without you," Chen said. "I need you to know that. You saved lives, dozens of them, women who would have ended up like—" She stopped. "Like me," Serafina finished, "or like Adrian's sister." "Yes." Serafina closed the folder. "What happens now? Now you rebuild. You and Blackwood. You figure out who you are outside of survival mode." Chen's expression softened. "That's going to be harder than fighting Moretti. Just so you know." "I believe it. But you've got time now, and safety, and each other." Chen extended her hand. "Thank you, Serafina, for being brave enough to finish this." They shook hands. Then Chen walked away, and Serafina went back inside to where Adrian was waiting. Adrian was discharged 2 weeks after the shooting. The doctors gave him strict instructions. No heavy lifting, no strenuous activity, physical therapy 3 times a week, pain medication as needed. He ignored half of them immediately. They moved into a rented townhouse in Brooklyn. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with appliances that actually worked, windows that let in sunlight without armed guards monitoring who looked in. The first night, Serafina stood in the middle of the empty living room and had a panic attack. Adrian found her on the floor, hyperventilating. Hey, hey, I've got you. He lowered himself beside her carefully, still healing. Breathe with me. In through your nose, out through your mouth. I can't. Yes, you can. You've been breathing your whole life. You're an expert. His hand found hers. In, out. That's it. It took 15 minutes for her heart rate to stabilize. When she could finally speak, the words came out broken. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Be normal. Live like a regular person. I've spent 3 years in survival mode and 6 months planning war. I don't know how to just exist. Adrian pulled her against his side. Then we'll figure it out together, one day at a time. What if I can't? What if I'm too broken? Then you're broken, and I love you anyway. His voice was steady. Sarah, you don't have to be fixed to be worthy of happiness. You just have to be willing to try. She pressed her face into his shoulder and cried. Not elegant crying, ugly, exhausted, 3 years of trauma crying. He held her through all of it without trying to make it stop. When she was empty, he said, Do you want to know something? What? I'm terrified too. I have nightmares about getting shot, about losing you, about Moretti's ghost somehow coming back. Adrian took a shaky breath. But I wake up and you're there, and that's enough to try again. Serafina lifted her head. His eyes were red but clear. How long until it gets easier? I don't know, but I know we'll find out together. Slowly, painfully, imperfectly, they built a life. Serafina enrolled in architecture classes at NYU. The first day back in a classroom felt surreal. She was almost 30 years old, sitting among 20-year-olds discussing structural engineering. But the work felt good, solid, like building something that couldn't be taken away. Adrian returned to running Blackwood events, but scaled back his client load. He hired more staff, delegated, spent evenings at home instead of networking at parties. His doctor said the career stress had probably saved his life. He'd been in good enough shape that his body could handle massive trauma. They went to therapy, both individually and together. Serafina's therapist specialized in trauma and abuse. She taught Serafina that healing wasn't linear, that some days she'd feel fine, and other days the sound of a door closing would send her into flashbacks. The goal isn't to forget what happened, her therapist explained. It's to integrate the experience so it doesn't control you anymore. Some days that felt possible. Other days it felt like drowning. 3 months after Lucian's death, Serafina woke up screaming from a nightmare where he was still alive. Adrian held her while she shook and reminded her that she was safe, that it was over. But what if it's never really over? She whispered. What if I carry him with me forever? Then you carry him. But he doesn't get to steer anymore. Adrian smoothed her hair back. You're the one driving now. 6 months in, they had their first real fight. Something stupid about dinner plans. But it escalated into Serafina accusing Adrian of being controlling and Adrian accusing Serafina of pushing him away whenever things got comfortable. They said horrible things, slammed doors. Serafina almost left. Instead, she sat on the front steps at 2 a.m. and realized this was what normal looked like. Normal couples fought about stupid things. Normal relationships had conflict that wasn't life or death. She went back inside. Adrian was in the kitchen making tea. I'm sorry, she said. Me too. He handed her a mug. We're really bad at being normal. The worst? They laughed, cried a little, made up on the kitchen floor. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. 9 months after Lucian's death, Serafina received a letter from a woman named Maria Gonzalez. The envelope had been forwarded through the FBI. Agent Chen had included a note. Thought you'd want to see this. Serafina opened it carefully. Dear Serafina, you don't know me, but I know your story. I was engaged to one of Lucien Moretti's business partners. He controlled every aspect of my life for 2 years. I tried to leave 3 times. Each time he found me. When I heard about what you did, how you testified, how you fought back, how you survived, something in me woke up. I realized I could fight too. I left him last month. I'm in a women's shelter now. I'm terrified, but I'm free. I wanted you to know that your courage gave me permission to be brave. You probably saved my life. You definitely saved my soul. Thank you. Maria Serafina read the letter 3 times. Then she carried it to Adrian. Look at this. He read it silently. When he looked up, his eyes were wet. Sarah. She got out. Because of what we did, she got out. You got out, Adrian corrected gently. I just helped. We did it together. He pulled her close. Yeah, we did. That night, Serafina couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Maria, about all the other women trapped in situations like hers, about how her testimony had dismantled Moretti's organization, but the system that enabled men like him was still intact. She got out of bed and went to her laptop, started researching foundations, legal aid organizations, therapy programs for abuse survivors. By morning, she had the skeleton of a plan. The DeLuca Initiative launched 1 year after Lucian's death. It was a nonprofit foundation providing legal aid, therapy, safe housing, and financial independence programs for survivors of abusive relationships. Serafina ran it with help from Adrian's business expertise and funding from several donors who'd heard her story. They held their first fundraising gala in a hotel ballroom. 300 people attended. Survivors, advocates, lawyers, therapists. People who understood that escape was only the beginning. Serafina stood at the podium in a simple black dress. No expensive jewelry, no elaborate makeup, just herself. A year ago, I was trapped in a relationship with a man who believed he owned me. He controlled my finances, my movements, my thoughts. He made me believe I was nothing without him. The room was silent. For 3 years, I survived by becoming small, by erasing myself piece by piece until I almost forgot I'd ever been whole. She paused, looked at Adrian sitting in the front row. He smiled. But somewhere inside, a small part of me refused to disappear. And when I finally found the courage to fight back, I discovered something crucial. I was never as powerless as he made me believe. Serafina gripped the podium. The DeLuca Initiative exists because escaping isn't enough. Survival isn't enough. We deserve to rebuild, to reclaim our identities, to create lives where we're not defined by what was done to us. She looked out at the crowd, saw Maria Gonzalez in the 3rd row, saw a dozen other women whose stories mirrored her own. This foundation is for every person who's been told they're worthless, who's been isolated, controlled, broken down. You're not broken. You're survivors, and you deserve support, resources, and the chance to write your own story. Applause thundered through the ballroom. Serafina stepped back from the podium. Agent Chen approached from the side. That was beautiful. It was true. Serafina looked at the crowd still applauding. This is what it was all for. Not revenge, not justice. This. Moretti would hate knowing his death led to something that helps people. Good, Serafina smiled. That makes it even better. The gala continued. Survivors shared their stories. Donations poured in. People connected over shared trauma and shared hope. Late in the evening, Serafina found Adrian standing at the window overlooking the city. You okay? She asked. Yeah, just thinking. About? About how different things could have been if you hadn't been brave enough to ask for help, if I hadn't answered the phone that morning, if any one thing had gone differently. Serafina took his hand. But they didn't. We're here, together, alive, and helping people. And helping people, she agreed. Adrian turned to face her fully. I'm proud of you, of this, of everything you've built from the rubble. We built it together. You started it. I just wrote some checks and helped with logistics. He smiled. You're the one who turned trauma into purpose. Serafina thought about that. About the woman she'd been 3 years ago when her father signed papers selling her to a monster. About the woman who'd stood in a cathedral and walked away from her own wedding. About the woman who'd worn a wire and faced down the man who'd tried to destroy her. And about the woman she was now. Still healing, still learning, still carrying scars that might never fully fade. But free. Finally. Impossibly free. 2 years after Lucian's death, Serafina and Adrian got married for real. Not in a cathedral with 400 guests, in a small courthouse with her family, Agent Chen, and a handful of close friends. Serafina wore a simple white dress from a department store. No crystals, no $14,000 lace, just cotton that moved when she breathed. The ceremony lasted 10 minutes. No orchestra, no elaborate vows, just promises to love and support and choose each other every day, even when it was hard. When the officiant said they were married, Adrian kissed her softly. "Forever," he whispered against her lips. "Forever," she agreed. They celebrated at a small Italian restaurant. Her mother cried happy tears. Michael gave a terrible best man speech that made everyone laugh. Her father stayed sober and told her quietly that she looked beautiful. It was imperfect and chaotic and exactly what Serafina wanted. Later, back at their townhouse, she and Adrian sat on their couch eating leftover cake. "Do you ever think about him?" Adrian asked. "Moretti?" "Sometimes. Not as much as I used to." Serafina set down her plate. "Mostly I think about how much of my life he took. 3 years, I'll never get back. But you're taking it forward now. All those women the foundation helps, all the lives you're changing." Adrian took her hand. "That's more powerful than what he stole." "Maybe." She leaned against him. "I still have nightmares sometimes. Still flinch when men raise their voices. Still check locks 3 times before bed." "I know. Does it bother you that I'm still broken?" "You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference." Adrian kissed the top of her head. "And no, it doesn't bother me. Your trauma is part of your story. I love all of you, Sarah, not just the easy parts." She tilted her head up to look at him. "How did I get this lucky?" "You didn't get lucky. You fought for this. Every single day for 3 years you fought to stay alive and sane and human. You earned this happiness." "We earned it." "Yeah, we did." They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, the Brooklyn street hummed with normal evening sounds, cars, voices, life continuing in all its messy, beautiful imperfection. Serafina thought about the woman she'd been when she first walked into that luxury villa and found her fiancé with another woman. How broken she'd felt. How hopeless. She thought about the woman she'd become, still flawed, still scared sometimes, still carrying weight she'd never fully put down, but stronger, freer, more herself than she'd been in years. "Adrian?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for answering the phone that morning, for helping me plan an impossible wedding, for loving me when I didn't know how to love myself." He pulled her closer. "Thank you for being brave enough to ask for help, for trusting me, for choosing to survive." Outside their window, the city lights sparkled like possibilities. Inside, 2 people who'd fought their way through hell sat together in their small kitchen, eating wedding cake, planning a future that belonged entirely to them. No cages, no fear, no monsters controlling their lives, just choice. Beautiful, terrifying, liberating choice. And that, finally, impossibly, was enough. 5 years after Lucian's death, Serafina stood in front of her architecture thesis project. She'd designed a community center for domestic violence survivors. Not a shelter, a permanent space where women could access resources, take classes, build careers, form connections. A place designed specifically to feel safe. Natural light, open sightlines, no closed-off corners where danger could hide. Her professor studied the model. "This is exceptional work, the way you've integrated security with openness. How you've created spaces that empower rather than confine." She looked up. "You should build this." "That's the plan," Serafina smiled. The DeLuca initiative just secured funding. Construction starts next year. After graduation, she and Adrian broke ground on the first DeLuca Center in Brooklyn. It would take 2 years to complete, 2 years of permits and construction and setbacks and victories. On opening day, Serafina stood in the main hall watching survivors walk through doors she'd designed. Maria Gonzalez was there. She'd become a volunteer with the foundation. She'd rebuilt her life, found work, started therapy, learned to trust again. "This is incredible," Maria said, looking around. "You built this." "We built it," Serafina corrected. "Everyone who survived, everyone who fought back, everyone who refused to disappear. This is ours." Adrian appeared at her side. He'd been talking to the construction crew. They want a photo, the architect with her finished project. Only if you're in it too. Deal. They stood together in front of the center while cameras clicked. Serafina didn't smile perfectly, didn't pose carefully. She just existed. Present. Alive. Free. That night back home, she found the old recording device from her wedding day, the one she'd used to record Lucian's confession. She'd kept it in a drawer, unable to throw it away. Now she took it outside and smashed it against the concrete. Once, twice, until it was nothing but plastic shards and destroyed circuitry. Adrian watched from the doorway. Feel better? Yeah, actually I do. She swept the pieces into a bag and threw them away. Then she went back inside to her husband, her home, her life that belonged entirely to her. The past was finally past. The nightmare was finally over. And tomorrow was just beginning.